Alright, here's my new video. Hopefully it just keeps things organized. So I think this is a little bit bright looking, and I want to do some like weird level adjustment stuff to this because I'm not happy with this, but I also want this figure to not be just duplicated a billion times in the background if I want to, modify this in any way. So what I want is basically just the character. Um, Character.exr, great, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of this other junk from Photoshop because I don't want it. While I'm doing that, though, I will unhide the ground plane, and I'm just going to select my character, and I'm actually going to, in the ground plane, I'm going to see if I can be a real person and just break this connection and just make this, what if I can do, like, an intensity of 50 here? Oh my god, yes, I can! Yes. Yes. Okay, so instead of getting really janky in Photoshop, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that, and then I'm just going to slider this up and be like, cool. This probably looks a little bit better. And now I'm just going to really quickly turn my image plane back on to RGBA and be like, okay, that looks pretty alright, I guess. It does seem maybe a tad bit intense now. So I'm just going to go back and very quickly go back into my shadow mat here and maybe take the intensity down a tiny bit. And it does seem that this is very much more green tinted, so you can add like gentle tinting to your stuff to make that match better. So I think like that's maybe something like that's pretty reasonable. And then like this is the most aggressive shadow thing over here. So I'm gonna start taking this down because you'll notice it's like way less intense over here. So something like that's probably fine. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna go back and I am going to go into my render cam and turn that image plane off. Yes, because I remembered how to do that now. And what I'm gonna do, like I said, I want this tiny bit without the other figure stuff on that. So what I'm going to do is just grab the character, go into my Arnold tab under my shape node, and just turn this to matte. And basically what this will do, it'll render all of the like reflections and junk from the character, but the character itself will be black, so you can basically just composite the other figure directly on top of it, and it'll look like a seamless image, but you just get more control over each of the files. So, Reflection EXR, cool. Alright, let's dump this crapola into Photoshop, because that's what I live for. I say with dripping sarcasm. Okay, so we have the character as transparency, boom, and we have the reflection as transparency. Ooh. Cool, it's there. It's still really, really subtle, but anywho, we can just do the duplicating thing and be like, yay, we did the thing. Alright, so the reason that I did that is because, like I said, I think this character actually looks pretty weird. It's too white. So I'm just gonna pop, like, a random... I'm probably actually just gonna be bad and just... What happens if I put a color layer over it? I guarantee you this is gonna look really, really bad. That actually looks pretty cool, but I just want to see what it looks like if I put just a very subtle color overlay on this. This is objectively the wrong solution to what I'm doing here. But anyway, so I'm just going to stop being a goober. I'm going to try and do a color balance. I'm really bad at Photoshop editing, so I'm just... Ooh, boy. So... Screaming of the cats. So what I'm going to try to do is just sort of get this a little bit closer to the thing in the background, which would be significantly easier if I had a real person... if I had a real person selection or mask on this. So I'm just going to use that as a janky mask for my character, realize that I've painted this mask backwards, and just invert my selection, and be like, wow, that's objectively really strange looking. So I think what I need to do is actually go a little bit harder into the blues, and maybe less of the greens, and maybe some red. Like I said, I'm really bad at color correcting in Photoshop, like just unbelievably awful. Yeah, so anywho, so you can play with those as needed. I'm gonna leave this because, yeah. And maybe just add in a slight levels adjust into this, where I will duplicate this map. Nope, nope, nope. Fine. There's definitely a way to copy the maps. I'm just being a goober. Yes, replace layer masks. No, oh my god. Great, okay. That should be doing something that I want, maybe. And I'm just going to maybe slide them in value. Wow, this is definitely the wrong way to modify this. Anyway, so I'm just gonna turn that off because that looked awful. Like I said, not a Photoshop person, not a compositing person. Anyway, okay. So we have this, we have our reflections, all of this is good. This looks really questionable. Anyway, so what else do we need? I think that this character, a lot of it just sort of gets lost in whiteness, which I don't like. So what I probably should have done here is messed with a little bit of like the light settings and stuff. But what I also want for this is an ambient occlusion. So then I can just plop that on top. So I'm just going to assign the character and the figure both an AI ambient occlusion node and see what that looks like. And you also need to turn the character not to be not a matte if you're going to do this. And in this case, so let's go in and like this is going to help like a lot, to be honest, but we can go and maybe tweak some of the values a little bit. Near clip, far clip, black. Okay, so let's see. I want maybe more aggressive shadows in this because it's just stylistically, it's what I want, damn it. Alright, so we're just gonna say, cool, let this render for like half a second, save this. I actually don't care if this is, has transparency, so I'm just gonna set it to a multiply layer anyway. So I'm just gonna grab the ambient occlusion. I did save it as PNG, so it has transparency. Cats are like going nuts in the background. And what I'm gonna do is just plop this in as a multiply layer, which, oof, apparently there was some color data in the background there, which looks pretty questionable. So actually probably what I would actually need for this is just to hide the background if that is in fact the thing causing issues. Save this as AO2, save this as AO2 PNG, and try this again. Excuse me. I also just called it AI, which is objectively not what's happening there. Anyway. Alright, so that does, you know, a thing that maybe helps it be a little bit less insanely glowy. It does seem like I've perhaps messed up. Oh no, sorry, that's the shield. I'm just being a goober. I was like, I've messed up and this is like a fake shadow. But anywho, so I'm just gonna say this is probably like where I'm gonna leave this for now. The AO does a nice job of sort of helping this sit just a tiny bit better on the ground plane. Cats are very strange, man. I like just so weird. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I'm gonna do for this. I will show you a funny thing if you want to sort of have a little bit more control over the ambient occlusion, which is basically I'm going to just assign this a regular AI matte, and that is... Actually, you know what? I'll do this in a separate video. It'll be more organized. Cool.